Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a brand new COD mobile video. I am your host.
These nuts.
Now, as you can see by the title, I'll be doing something that I haven't done in decades, which is a tips and tricks videos on how to play more aggressive in Call of Duty Mobile. Now, there are basically 3 ways to play COD Mobile. 1. You can play very passive and be a little camper. 2. You can play very aggressive and nonsensical like I do. Or 3. You can play with a bit of IQ and makes both of them know when to rush or when to play passive. But first, before I get into the video guys, let me ask you to just go ahead and leave a like on this video. If you like this video gets, I will do 1 push-up, so go ahead and help me to keep in shape. Drop a like on this video, and without further ado, let's get right into it, shall we? So guys, firstly, of course, the effectiveness of playing aggressive does have a lot to do with the gun that you are using, and obviously guns that have a much higher fire rate will be more equipped to playing more aggressive and rushing in on players. So guns like the QQ9, the PP19, the Fennec, the QXR, AK117 HVK are very ideal aggressive weapons because they have a very high fire rate. If you can manage to use shotguns, then shotguns like the KRM and BY15 are also pretty good guns. And because of how weird COD Mobile is, snipers are actually a very aggressive weapon to use, because in multiplayer, snipers won't be like any other games where they would sit back and get picks. Snipers are very aggressive these days, and it's actually pretty hard to beat if your movement is not pretty good. Additionally, and of course, obviously, movement speed is also very important as it relates to playing aggressive. Personally, for me, all my classes right now do have lightweight, because this does actually increase your movement speed by 10%, and not only is it gonna be more effective to select guns with a high fire rate, but a fast ADS time is also very integral for playing aggressive. However, as it relates to the ADS time, you don't really have to point out any gun, because it is pretty easy to get a decent ADS time on most submachine guns and assault rifles, and I don't really think I need to go in depth on why these are pretty important. But obviously, if you are a very aggressive player, then most of your gunfights will be at close range, and those are the 2 main factors that contribute to winning fights at close range. So obviously, stuff like recoil control and range won't be as important. Additionally, something that I find very effective for having a very aggressive playstyle is using small score streaks, and I think some people actually underestimate the importance of streaks in winning gunfights. But for me personally, I would recommend for small streaks using the UAV, shock RC, and counter UAV. And the reason why small streaks are so important is, 1, they're very easy to rotate, and secondly, it actually gives you momentum, which is very important. And the UAV, shock RC, counter UAV combination is just so underrated, because all these streaks do support each other. So firstly, I'd put up a UAV so I'd have an idea of where each enemy is. I know the UAV isn't as good as it was one where you could see exactly where they were, but still it's pretty effective. Then of course, I'd wait for my counter UAV, and then I'd drop my shock RC after I put out my counter UAV, so they don't see my shock RC on the map and know exactly where to find me. Another important factor to playing aggressive is being stealthy and making your enemies not know where you are, while you have an idea of knowing where they are. Now obviously, if you are going to be a heavy pusher, then most of the times you are going to be fighting like 2 or 3 people, depending on how your teammates play. And by the time you get 1 kill, your enemies will be seeing you on that minimap, and you won't really have a lot of time, and they'll probably surround you, and the story ends right there. So it is actually very important to cover up your tracks. So on all my aggressive classes, like I mean every single aggressive class that I have, I use a silencer. So either I'd use the monolithic suppressor or the YKM light suppressor. And every time I make a top 10 gunsmith class, I always try to emphasize the importance of using a suppressor, as it makes you actually not show up on the enemy's minimap when you are firing. And even though most suppressors decrease the range that your gun has, as I said, most of your fights while playing aggressive will be at a very close range, so suppressors are very effective. And as I did say before, the counter UAV is also a great alternative to the silencer. And not only would you want to stay under the radar, but it would be also nice to have at least a general idea of where your enemies are coming from. I determined this with 2 factors. So firstly, I would use my minimap, then I would locate where my teammates are, and the spots that you don't see your teammates are, it is a high chance, I would say like 80% chance, and that is where the enemy spawns will be. Additionally, since the Dead Silence perk was nerfed, I decided to try out both the High Alert perk and the Alert perk, which is actually very effective. So both of them basically gives you a general location of where the enemy is. For the High Alert, it basically makes it impossible for enemies to sneak up on you, as you will see a bright yellow flash. And for the Alert perk, when an enemy is close to you, then it will show a little red arrow or something like that. Movement is also one of the most important factors to playing aggressive. This is probably more important than having a good aim. So you're gonna have to go full try hard, you know. Drop shotting and strafing are pretty effective. Drop shotting is very effective because it's gonna be at a very close range. Of course, strafing is also good, but I recommend strafing for medium distances. And of course, if you're a super huge sweat, then you can jump shoot and stuff. And of course, if you are new to the game, because I know that new players normally tend to gravitate towards these videos, I did make a movement video a few months ago, and basically the same movement right now, so it should be in the cards, and I'll also link it in the description, so you can go ahead and watch that after this video ends. And what goes hand in hand with the movement is holding positions and rotating. So let me explain. Now, when I say holding positions, in no way, shape or form am I talking about camping or holding head glitches. Now, sometimes when you're fighting multiple enemies at once, not even movement can save you. And what I normally do in those situations is take cover behind objects and then jump out, slide back in, and stuff like that. Now, a perfect example of this is the A spawn at Summit. So obviously, if this is the enemy spawn and I'm playing very aggressive, so I do rush into their spawn, I basically hide behind the pole right here, get a few picks. By that time, then about half of their team will know that I'm there, so I then probably rotate to right here. Then it would be a high chance that they would come in trying to get me from behind that pole. And then of course, when they come through this door, that is a easy pick. I get a few more, and then I change my position and go somewhere else. And guys, how can I be making a aggressive playstyle tutorial and not show my most aggressive gunsmith class? Because I know that people will be asking for it. So obviously it is my QQ9 class. This is basically my default QQ9 class that I did show the last time, where I'm using the monolithic suppressor. As I did say earlier, it's very important to remain stealthy. I'm also using the RTC raccoons, and both these make the QQ9 a lot more versatile as it relates to range. I'm also using the no stock because, as I said, the no stock is pretty powerful on the QQ9 in terms of movement speed and ADS speed. I'm also using the OWC laser, and I'm using the 40 round extended mag. So guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed or learned something. If you do, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want more tips and tricks videos like this. And before you leave, be sure to go ahead and hit that like button. As I say, it does help out the video a lot in terms of YouTube's algorithm. So that's it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.